Hey guys, so we're talking about cultural synchronicity, which means getting everybody on the same page and aligning and moving in the same direction to establish a culture that aids in retention. What we want to do is have people constantly telling themselves, people like me do something like this. That could be CrossFit. And if you want people to keep doing CrossFit with you or keep doing stuff with you, even if you change your brand or your programming, then it's important to constantly reinforce that they are in sync with your culture, that they're part of your tribe and not an outsider. This is called power law. And power law means that different habits are distributed along a predictable curve. So for example, the top selling music single on iTunes outsells the next best selling single on iTunes by 2 to 1. And that outsells the third best selling single on iTunes by 3 to 1. And so it's not just a matter of this linear regression where the second best selling single on iTunes sells almost as many as the first. It's not like that at all. It's the second best selling sells a fraction of what the top selling single on iTunes does. This is very true for books too. If you look at what are the best selling books, the top 10 best-selling books outsell all of the other books published in a certain year put together. If you look at, you can use this for anything, like the number of words used in the English language. The top 130 words used in the English language are used 10 times, 100 times more than all of the other words put together. That's called power law. And what we're going to talk about is the behavior and habits of your clients and how that power law relates. So on the x-axis here, I've got your clients. And on the y-axis, I've got the activities that they participate in. And the more commonality we have between these activities, the more people feel like I'm part of this tribe. So the first thing that all of your people have in common is they do CrossFit. Okay, so this steep part of the curve, obviously they're your clients, they're all doing the same thing. They might do CrossFit with less frequency. They might come 3 times a week instead of 5 times a week than other people, okay? But they're all still brought together by this thing, CrossFit. Now, a lot of you inherently know, because you're great at relationships, that the more things we do in common together outside the gym, the stronger that community will be. And so you put together fundraisers, and you put together pub nights and 5K runs and stuff. The key here, though, is that you want to be choosing activities that reinforce people like me do something like this, instead of just randomly choosing activities because they bring us together. What really happens if we choose the wrong activities is that we devalue that notion, people like us do something like this. We polarize our communities. We create these little cliques of, well, the cool kids do competitions, and these people, the 20-year-olds, they go out drinking together, and the 60-year-olds don't. What we want to do is choose activities that reinforce that cultural synchronicity. So if I'm thinking what is the closest thing to CrossFit that most of my members participate in, that might be running. At our gym, over 80% of people do the CrossFit Open now. That's great. That builds cultural synchronicity. Everybody's on the same page. We're all doing this thing. People like us do the CrossFit Open. Running isn't too far off, and so we participate in this local 5K every year, and we can say people in the CrossFit family mostly come and do this thing, this 5K race called the Mountain Maple. People like us do something like this. Now, the people who are in the Catalyst family who don't do that race are going to feel like a bit of an outsider, and that's okay. There aren't very many of them. They are in the minority, and we're going to do something else that brings them back into the fold, that gives them the reinforcement that they're still part of the main tribe. But as we move further and further along the tail here, you're going to find that each activity has a lower participation rate. Fewer people want to do obstacle course racing than want to do running, and fewer people want to run than people who want to do CrossFit. So we're including fewer and fewer people in our community. We have fewer and fewer people in sync with these activities. As we move further out along the tail, you're going to see activities like pub crawls. Pub crawls have nothing to do with fitness, which is what brought people together in the first place. Pub crawls are fun. 10 to 15% of your community might want to go on that pub crawl. And I'm not saying don't do it. I am saying you're building synchronicity in those 10 to 15, but you're also excluding all of these people who don't want to go to that pub crawl, who think that it's contraindicated. Maybe they've got a history with alcohol that they don't want to perpetuate. Maybe they're trying to lose weight and they know that that would actually be counter to what their goals are. Maybe they just have a life and they don't want to go out with everybody from the gym. That's okay. But you have to understand that by excluding them, by choosing an activity that they don't want to do, you're telling them you are not like people like us because we are going to do this thing. If you do that once or twice a year, it's probably not a big deal. You're doing a lot of things. You're going to include these people in the running group maybe and these other people here. I don't have time to do some one special event with every single person in my gym. And so I'm going to always lean toward the things that they want to do that is going to serve the majority of the people and reinforce people like us do something like this. That means I'm going to stick very, very closely to the activity that brought them there in the first place, which is fitness, CrossFit, running, obstacle course racing, maybe at the outside. I might do some stuff here like strongman. I might do a swimming program. But again, as I travel further down this curve and I get out toward the long tail, fewer and fewer people are going to participate in that activity, and that should be a warning flag to me that we don't want to do it anymore. I'll give you a great example. One of our clients had this intramural open team, okay? Very, very strong synchronization there. He's got everybody in his box doing the intramural open. It's fantastic. But one group wanted to have an inappropriate message at the open this week. They wanted to dress up in condom wrappers and have some kind of big banner about like protect your snatch or something like that. Funny to many of us, okay? Like the snatch jokes haven't gotten old in the last decade that I've been doing CrossFit, okay? Not funny to people with kids in that box. And so people with kids were already starting to tell them like, hey, I don't think I'm gonna bring my kid to the open workout this week. Because people like us don't do stuff like that. So the problem is these people out here found it a bit funny, but he was excluding all of these people. And so he told the team like, hey, look, this is a family box. You can't do stuff like that. Even though I think it's funny, the majority of our clients would perceive that they are out of sync with our culture if that's what happened in our box. How else can you do that? It doesn't have to be pub crawls. It could be crazy rap music. It could be skulls and crossbones all over your walls. It could be dirty bathrooms. Anything that tells a person, I don't fit in here, or I don't belong, or everybody else likes this except me, is a wedge between them and your culture, and it's going to push them out of your box long term. We are not in a long tail business. The music industry now, specifically iTunes, like Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, they are in the long tail business. They can make billions of dollars selling one copy of my hit CD, okay? But I, as that artist, I am not going to do very well selling one copy. Maybe that's one more copy than I would have sold, but it's not enough to make a living. I have to make a living here, okay? Unless I'm Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, and my distribution is unlimited, and my storage is unlimited, and my capacity is unlimited. That's not our business. Our capacity is our time. Our storage is our physical gym. What can we do in that space? And the most important thing that we can do are the right things for the greatest number of clients. That's the question we have to ask ourselves all the time when it comes to making financial decisions, but also cultural ones. What is the greatest thing that I can do for the majority of my clients right now? Hope that helps.